Hi, this is actually Reverend Paul Slatkus. I'm interfaith and all and spiritual, and I'm saying that because I'm speaking to an additionally a spiritual interfaith, wonderful humanitarian, Professor Ephraim Isaac. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Mrs. Slatkus. How are you?
I'm good. I got about 26 pages about you here in my phone, because you're a hardworking man. You're dedicated to freedom. You're dedicated to equality. You're dedicated to peace. You're
Yeah.
dedicated to your students. You're a professor, been a highly awarded one in Harvard and some of the other Ivy League schools, Princeton and Pennsylvania. Um, Give us a little bit about your background. You were born in Ethiopia, I know, and yeah, you're just a fantastic guy. And everybody knows that. And so give us a little bit about your background, please.
Well, thank you very much, Paul, for talking to me. My background, well, it's very difficult to stand on one foot and say what part. My father was born in Yemen. I was born in Ethiopia. I consider myself both Yemenite Jew and Ethiopian. I came to America to school. I did my a degree in religion at Harvard Divinity School, and then I did a PhD at Harvard. And 1969, I finished in Near Eastern Languages and Civilizations, and especially about the Jews in Ethiopia. And then I became the first professor in the new department of African and African American Studies. I am very proud of my contribution to that department, which is now today one of the big departments at Harvard. I gave the first ever courses at Harvard on African languages, on African religions, and ancient African history. And I am very humbled that Harvard every year now gives a prize called Ephraim Isaac Prize for excellence in African studies. And this past year, I was nominated by the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. Here I can show you this. I don't know if you saw it, but it's in the magazine, in the alumni magazine of the graduate school. It says something like.
I see it. I can see it. I can see you there.
It says alumni who made a difference. Harvard graduate alumni who made a difference. And I'm also on the cover of that magazine. And I'm very honored that the graduate school included me among their alumni whom they said made a difference. So what I am, however, most proud of myself is the work I have done for peace in Ethiopia and the world. I have dedicated a lot of my life during my school days to promote education in Ethiopia, because I thought education was more important than politics, and to support education and teach people about peace. And then I helped found the Ethiopian Peace Committee in 1989, which is now almost 35 years ago, and contributed to that. I've been interested in Middle East peace, and I participated in many, many meetings and organizations. I participated in a meeting of rabbis and imams in Belgium, sponsored by the King of Belgium and the King of Morocco. I participated in a rabbis and imams meeting in Seville, Spain, sponsored by the King of Morocco, and I participated in numerous peace conferences dealing with the Middle East, with Israel, and with Ethiopia. And today also, I spend a good deal of my time promoting peace, working for peace. convincing people that peace is more important than hate, fighting, killing, and so on. And I'm also writing a book now about my experience at Harvard University for 20 years, my contribution to, as I said, the study of African studies, languages, as a person who first gave the first African courses on African languages, African religions, ever in the history of that university. Sorry.
You know, in life, right, we have situations, in essence, our entire life is now. As you and I are speaking, is everything. Whatever's been is over. It's history, right? I mean, there's this saying, the past is a history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is the present. And that's why they call it the present.
Yes.
And if we talk about the present, some of the things, if you don't mind, some of the things that that you have taken on early on in your life and have talked about, actually, I would say are in the forefront of the present. First of all, African studies, that's become a almost contentious. It's a very involved for universities and for the world around us. You know, we have these movements, we have reparation, all kinds of words are coming up that people don't even know, and then have to learn about how to deal with that. And then peace, I mean, peace goes along with those things, because some of the things that have been discussed because of the past are unpeaceful, right? So you've taken on let's say in your own life, you've taken on two big subject matters. Why? Why?
I have tried.
You could be working in a restaurant.
Well, you know, most of what everybody does depends on their experience from childhood. When I was about a year old, the Italians invaded Ethiopia. And I now remember as a little child when the Italians in their station in the town where I grew up bring people, prisoners, lie them down on the ground and beat them with whips. I even remember once hanging people by the Italians. So we used to, as a child, cry and run away, cry as we saw that. Then, when I was about 5 years old, the Italians were kicked out of the town where I grew up. The armies of the Emperor Haile Selassie, in collaboration with the British Army, came from the west, from the Sudan, to the little town where I grew up in Western Ethiopia, Najo it was called. And we were warned about a big battle that was supposed to take place that April. And therefore, my parents hired some workers to dig an underground and a bunker, so to say. So I remember sitting as a 4 or 5 year old child inside this bunker for 2-3 nights, listening to the deafening sound of exploding bombs and artilleries. And of course, as a child, I didn't understand this. And then we were even told to leave the town where I grew up and go somewhere out in the countryside. And I remember sitting on the back of a mule, on my father riding a mule, sitting, holding him. And we went something like about 3-4 hours away from the town where the Italian-Ethiopian battle was taking place. And we stayed there like maybe like refugees for 2 months, 3 months. I recollect at least 2 months. And then after 2 months, when the battle ended, we came back. And when I said, where are the children with whom I was playing? Well, one of them was killed. And I never forget saying, when is he coming back? They said, no, he was killed by an Italian bomb. And I said, I want him to come back. I didn't know as a child what it meant. He was killed by the bomb. So that impressed me. That's why I became a peace freak, a peace fanatic. That I remember crying why this playmate of mine was not coming back. And so I understood right there at that age that fighting, killing is a terrible tragedy. It's a terrible thing. And so when I went to elementary school, I never even had high school. I never hit anybody, and I never allowed other people to hit me. I was always a person who felt that violence has no place in this short life that we have here, that it's much better to respect each other, to live with each other in peace, to respect each other, and to help each other. So my interest in peace goes back then to my very early childhood, when my ears were deafened by exploding bombs and artilleries, and people were killed and learned about it. Interestingly, God has made me really hate warfare, and had exposed me to more than one time when all these sounds of bombs have deafened my ear. In 1960, when Emperor Haile Selassie was in Brazil, a group of people wanted to take over the government, and then one side of the army was against them, one was supporting the emperor, and I lived in a small town called Aratquer. Between the two palaces, a war broke out between the two armies, one that supported the emperor, one that opposed the emperor, and for 2 nights we were deafened. The third night, or actually the first night, the second night, we were told to get out of that area. And I remember crawling and going out something like for 3 hours. So I was exposed the second time to the sound of bombs and artilleries. That's why I hate it. And then, ironically, in 1967, when I came to Israel to finish my research under a professor called Polotsky, who was a very famous Egyptologist, I was working on my doctorate at Harvard at that time. This was in 1957, and the 67. Then I remember I came in the spring. A couple of months later, there was shocking news that Nasser is planning to attack Israel. Sure enough, in June, one day when I was sitting in the library, bombs started exploding outside the library, and there was a sound of artillery. Again, this is the third time in my life when I'm hearing now, as a child, and when I was about 20 something in the time of Emperor Selassie, and now in Israel, the 6 Days War. Luckily, in the library, many of us who couldn't go to the army were asked to help clean the dining hall and help serve food to whoever was around. And we were sitting at night underground, listening to the sound of artilleries and bombs. So for some reason, God has exposed me to these terrible sounds, which I hate, I don't use the word hate against any human being, but I use it against fighting and warfare, because I have not only read about fighting, my ears, my heart has been exposed to it, and I cannot forget.
Well, God has given you a gift because he's given you the ability to share.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Your life with others.
That's why I hate fighting and warfare.
I I have never had a fight. I have never really I've never shot a gun. I never lifted up a gun. I would run away before I would fight somebody. Uh,
God bless you.
I've always my little 2 cents is that you whatever you want, you can hate me or whatever, but don't punch me in the nose. You don't have to like me. We don't have to like everybody. Some people get on each other's nerves.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but you don't have to shoot me. You don't have to hurt me. You don't got to punch me. It's so stupid. It's almost pathetic why somebody could do something like that, and especially over. And I'm a John Lennonist, so these countries, I don't know why we can't understand. The fact of the matter is that they're make believe. Nobody came here and they drew a line and they made I'll say America, or they made Mexico, or they made Ethiopia. I mean, us human beings who are all Homo sapien brothers and sisters, that's where I so much have tried in my little bit of participation on Mother Earth here, is to promote Homo sapien. We're brothers and sisters. You can't get away from
Absolutely.
that. It's so I can't even fathom the fact why somebody could think they're any different than anybody else, because they scientifically have proven we're from this group of Homo sapiens. And all these religions and countries are add-ons. They're like the material world, like Madonna would say, the material world. I mean, I'm not minimizing them. I'm very Jewish. Okay, I'm an interfaith minister, but I'm because I believe in it. I like the religion, but I've told others that I'm a Homo sapien before I'm a Jew. I'm a Homo sapien before I'm an American. These are titles. And some people would even say entitlements. They would take it to that far, or that I'm white, and that somebody might be black or yellow or red or brown or whatever. All right, that's the color of the skin. What do you want? That's it. At least that's how I think. That's how you were born. Maybe, and I think almost geographically that somebody maybe was born in one area and God was good and made them darker so they wouldn't get burnt as a suntan. I don't know the details. Okay, I'm not up there or wherever around us. I don't know. It's a very complicated. I wear these Save the Children ties. Everybody needs a friend. I've worn this one about love. This is the original one, helping children and their families around the world. We're all brothers and sisters, and um, and these wars are just atrocious. Are just to show our stupidity and our animalism.
Sure, sure. Well, we are not only brothers and sisters, we are all blood and flesh, all of us. And it amazes me when I hear there are some people who go into schools and shoot people. Do they think they're going to live forever and ever themselves? Why? We are all like in a hotel. We check in, we check out. The truth of the matter is, all of us are blood and flesh. Well, one thing that inspired me, in addition to my own personal experience, having been exposed to the terrible sounds of bombs and artilleries, is also the influence my father had on me. My father was born in Yemen, where they studied the Hebrew Bible from childhood at the age of 5. They get an aliyah at the synagogue at the age of 5, and they memorize the Bible. My father could chant. In fact, I have a whole book of the Torah that my father is chanting. I recorded. They memorize the Psalms of David. And then most importantly, they also recite Prophet Isaiah. For me, the Prophet Isaiah has been one of my inspirations. In addition to my own personal experience, reading and listening to the Prophet Isaiah, where he says, לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה, יחטטו הרבותיהם לעתים, וחניתותיהם למסמרות. Nations will not raise arms against nations. They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. I used to chant that in Hebrew. And then it's also the same prophet who says, וגר זאב עם כבש, ונאמר עם זדיר בוס, ועגל וקמילת יגרו, ונער קוטו נוהג בו. I can chant more of this. It says, the lion will lie with the cow, you know, the lion cub will play with the calf, they shall beat the knowledge of God has flooded the earth, that they will no longer kill or destroy. He is my favorite prophet. Always 3,000 years ago, more than that, he was shouting, saying, beat your swords into plowshares. 3,000 years ago. Are we deaf? Don't we hear that? By the way, I'm glad that this statement is on the wall of the United Nations. And also, what does the Lord require of you? To do justice, to love mercy, and to be humble. This is the prophets, the Jewish prophets that inspired me. My own personal experience, plus my knowledge. May the Almighty be blessed. My father, who knew many, many parts of the Bible by heart. He could recite the whole Psalm of David by heart. That's the culture he came from. And then the prophets, and reciting to me these passages that I just read to you. They shall beat their swords into plowshares, or the lion will lie with the calf. And these kind of spiritual teachings of the Hebrew prophets is the other pillar that has been meaningful in my life. And that has inspired me to commit myself 100% to peace and love and kindness.
Let me ask you one last question. We can talk forever, and I know this. And Dag Hammarskjöld did hear what that first statement, the plowshares, and it is across the street also at the little park across from the UN. Here's my question to you, and it's a current question, and I just feel like I'll ask you. You don't have to answer it even, but you know, there is a war in the Middle East, and it's a complicated scenario, and it seems like it's not a resolved situation. Well, it's definitely not resolved. What do you think? How can we have more peace in the Middle East? I'll say with that area that's of the most concern, which is that we've labeled Israel and we've labeled Palestine and whatever. You have any thought on that? I just, because I know you're so wise and have lived in that area, and do you have a thought on how we can come up with a resolution that can keep people from hurting each other?
Well, again, I repeat that war is tragic. And ironically, I tend to think most of the wars of the world are between brothers. It started in the Bible with Cain and Abel. You know, I've looked at this. Usually enemies get angry at each other, but usually it's the brothers who end up fighting with each other. When you look at many historical warfare, you know, Protestants and Catholics, brothers, English and German, brothers, Jews and Arabs, brothers. Well, in any case, what I'm trying to say is this whole thing, starting with Cain and Abel, brothers fighting with each other, is part of the tragedy of life. Now, I was in Israel during the 6 Days War. I knew what fighting in that area meant. And then, ironically, in 1971, I had come to Israel as a visiting professor at Hebrew University, and the Yom Kippur War broke out. So I also saw the Yom Kippur War in Israel. I hate wars. And what we really need to do is to awaken the world to the voice of the ancient prophets, you know, who are saying, we should live in peace. Peace. The word peace appears in the Hebrew Bible more than in any other literature I have read. And what is happening now in the Middle East is a big tragedy. It's again a fighting. Actually, most of these wars are really inspired by just few individuals who are greedy, who want power, who want money. Jews and Arabs should live together in peace. The Quran, I always say, if you have read the Hebrew Bible, you know 70% of what the Quran says. The Quran says in one place, as the rabbis of the Talmud said, to kill one person is like to destroy the whole world. I am very pleased that the Quran quotes the rabbis to say that. And both Jews and Arabs are brothers, and that is what they're fighting. We need to find a solution to the situation in the Middle East. I happen to know Hebrew, Arabic, and I happen to have friends who are Jews and Arabs. I'm Jewish myself. I'm committed. I love Israel, and I want peace for Israel. And we need, however, I think the majority of the Arab people want peace. The majority of our Arab brothers know that Jews are their brothers. But unfortunately, as it happened in all the world, there are always certain individuals. Well, going back to the Romans, look at somebody like Nero. In our own time, look at Mussolini, Hitler, Pol Pot, Idi Amin. We have something like a problem in Ethiopia also. Just few individuals. Where do these individuals come out of? How can we predict that there are certain individuals who are greedy for power? Well, the people, like a few of these kids who go into a school and shoot and kill students, where do such people come from? How can we predict in order to stop killing, bloodshed? So my own prayer is that many Jews, I'm very pleased to say that today, a lot of the Middle Eastern countries are trying to make peace with Israel. In fact, until this Hamas murder of our Jewish brothers and sisters in October, the Middle East countries were moving to consolidate friendship with Israel. I know the people in Bahrain. Now, every Friday morning, a group of people from Bahrain, Dubai, Qatar, Oman, get together and say an evening Shabbat prayer. And some of us are here, it's in the morning, listen to their praying together. So there were a movement towards peace in the Middle East. And this whole tragedy then took place in October. My prayer is that this will be over in a peaceful fashion, sure. My prayer is that the hostages will come back, our brothers, sisters, Jewish hostages who are now suffering, and our Arab brothers will open their eyes. I mean, even the Hamas people, the Palestinian people, and the Jewish people are brothers. They need to stop killing each other, farm together, do farming together, build hospitals together, build schools together, love each other. What do we get out of killing each other? It's a tragedy for our young people. It's a tragedy for our children. We become terrible examples. So those few individuals who are greedy for power, those few individuals who are promoting killing, hating, fighting, may the Almighty open their eyes. May made such people disappear. In my own country, in Ethiopia right now, where I grew up, hundreds and hundreds of people are dying. Almost 1 million people in the Tigray region died, and 1 million people today in Amhara and Oromo are dying. Horrible fighting going on. By the way, many people don't know about this. As an English guy recently recited, many people don't know that the most tragic war in the world today in our time is taking place nowhere else except in Ethiopia. So it's my prayer that the people of the Middle East will open their eyes, open their hearts. The people who love peace, the people who respect each other will take over those people who want violence, people who are hateful. I'll add one final thing to this. I wish people who are hateful will understand that the more you hate, the more your heart is hateful and bitter, the shorter you live in this life, because hate is like poison in your blood. If you love people, if you love peace, if you commit to serving others, what does the Lord require of you? To do justice, love peace. And if you do that, you have a peaceful life. You have a very calm inner feelings. And that gives you a better quality of life, a better sense of joy, happiness. So may we teach our children. The whole important thing is teaching children from childhood that peace is far more important than fighting. Love is far more important than hating. And that the Almighty open the eyes of the parents, of the teachers. Last year, I'll add one thing. I heard about a kid who went into a school and shot people up. And you know where he got his gun from? His parents bought it for him. Who are these parents? So what we need to do is to educate parents in order to promote peace and love in their family and teach their children not fighting, buying them guns. In this country, you know, where the school shooting and the parents, where are these parents? So part of the responsibility is we just need to really have a tremendous revolution in education, in inspiring people what is more valuable. Peace, love, hard work is more valuable than killing, fighting. May the Almighty help our leaders to understand that parents teach their children peace and love, as my parents told me. I'm most grateful to my parents who taught me love, peace, and understanding, and respect for you, our fellow human beings. Love the Almighty. In the Jewish, you should love your neighbor as yourself. And by the way, in the Hebrew Bible, it also says, you should have and you should love the strangers to as yourself. And the prophets, of the Jewish prophets, for me, are the most important inspiration in my whole life. They taught me what it means to love justice, to love peace, to love mercy, to respect others. That way, you sleep better. That way, you can be a good example to others. So I wish people read the prophet Isaiah. My father's favorite verse is also from Ecclesiastes, where it says, Hevel, Hevel, Makol Hevel. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. My father used to say, okay, because every is vanity, are we going to sit here and cry? No, we should work. He was a jeweler. Do filigree, beautiful work, teach each other and learn, pray, love each other, enjoy meals together, have coffee together, and live a happy life. So we need to teach young children. Children is where we start. We should teach them that what's important is not hitting each other, not killing each other, but loving each other, hugging each other, and respect your parents and respect your neighbors, respect each other. This is what our Jewish religion also teaches us. And I pray for the day when the leaders of the Middle East will open their eyes wide and see that living together in peace, promoting economic development for the poor people, supporting, building houses for people, improve economic situation for the poor people of the Middle East, the Jews and the Arabs. I pray to the Almighty, may that day be close when Jews and Arabs will hug each other instead of shooting at each other.
From your lips to God's ears and everybody else's ears. I love you dearly. You are such an inspiration. I am so honored to get a chance to share some time and some of your brilliance and honor and respect and love and caring and for the world around us. You've had some very fortunate students in your life.
Thank you.
Fortunate friends. I know Melanie Simon is a mutual friend who introduced me to you. Ephraim, thank you so much for taking some time, and I'm honored to share this with the world. I only wish that I had 8 billion people.
Just give me 1 minute.
8 billion people
No?
to our events.
Thank you so very, very much. I really appreciate you also. You seem to be a gentleman with good foresight and good heart. And I hope maybe when I come to New York next time, we'll have coffee together at the Harvard Club.
You tell me when you come in. I look forward, or you come to my home.
I'll do that,
Come to
Paul.
my home, and we'll have a beautiful lunch.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you
All right.
very much.
You take care, my friend. Bye-bye.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Salam, salam.